Hey class, so I noticed one of the problems a lot of students had in Project 1 was figuring out how to present the opposing viewpoints and the alternative viewpoints in a way that made sense inside their paper. So the purpose of this video will be to kind of demonstrate some ways to do that for Project 2. So as you can see, the description of alternative solutions is in the rubric. It tells us to discuss 2 to 3 alternative solutions. So let's start by looking at the paragraph map that Dr. Spivey has posted on the group blog. So this will help you out when writing your papers in a number of reasons. The main reason it will help you is by keeping you focused on exactly which points you need to hit and how you should present these. So the paragraph map doesn't tell you exactly how you need to do the project, but it is a guideline for how you can approach it. And I find that generally when students follow this guideline, they tend to write better papers. So let's see where the paragraph map tells us to include the alternative views. So we see here that the paragraph map tells us to include the alternative viewpoints right after the introduction and presentation of background information, and right before we go into what we think is the best solution for the problem. So let's see how some students have approached including alternative viewpoints into their paper. So here's a paper by a student from last semester. This paper is about bullying and the best way to solve the issue of kids lashing out at each other instead of being able to express themselves in conducive and productive ways. So let's find the thesis statement. It looks like right here is the author's thesis statement saying that they believe the best solution is to create a class that the students can better express themselves in. If we take one step up, we see that the author has also mentioned a couple ways people have tried solving this issue in the past. So here we have both the thesis statement and the main argument and the alternative viewpoints right next to each other. So let's see where the author chose to include all of these points. Going down to the first paragraph, we see that counseling is mentioned right away. So even though the author starts out by mentioning counseling, they also talk about the drawbacks. Ultimately, the author concludes that counseling was okay, but that it had this trade-off of the student missing a lot of class. So we see that the author presents a solution and then talks about why this solution is not the best solution within that one paragraph. So let's take another example. This one might be a little bit easier to see how to use the alternative viewpoint. So this is a paper about saving the bees. I've already highlighted the thesis statement, which says that the optimal solution would be to support the local community by buying local honey and fruits. So let's see where the alternative solutions are. So down here, we see that the author introduces an alternative solution in their third paragraph. They say that an alternative solution could be to protect the bees by restricting the size of crops. We see that the author brought in a source, which is this highlight right here. Bringing in a source to support an alternative viewpoint is good because it shows that this is actually something that's in the debate. It's part of the discourse, and it's not just something you're making up. Again, the author presented another alternative solution right after the first one. This alternative solution is the restriction of pesticides. Again, the author brings in a reputable source. This is a really good example of how you should present your alternative solutions in your paper. You should first begin by introducing the best solution in your opinion, providing a little background, which is what the author did in this paragraph, and then restating what you think is the best solution, which is this kind of lighter yellow highlight here. After you say the best solutions, you want to go into the alternative solutions, and being very direct about the fact that these are alternative solutions, like the author did in this paper, is a really good idea. So once you talk about the alternative solutions, you get the chance to go back into support of your main body paragraph and your main argument of your solution, which is what the author did here. If we jump back to the paragraph map that Dr. Spivey posted, we see that the student followed exactly what Dr. Spivey suggested, which is presenting his thesis, restating it, and then providing two alternatives. Again, I just want to point out that you need to include reputable sources into your alternative paragraphs. This is because you want to present the entire discourse on the problem, and you want to show that there's other solutions being considered. Part of the project is to make your solution seem like a better choice than other people's solutions. So to make your argument stronger, you want to show that there are alternative viewpoints, and that you're just not picking one arbitrarily to argue for the best. When you do go into present your solution, you want to make sure you back that up by facts. And you want to talk about why your chosen solution is better than any of the alternatives that you gave. Remember, you need to include at least two alternatives, if not three.